Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I'm Rex Nelson, senior editor of the Democrat Gazette, and it is my pleasure to have Capi Peck, famous Arkansas restaurant owner, longtime member of the Little Rock City Board of Directors here. You know, we're not here specifically to talk about food, but we might at the end. You know me. we'll get there after our main subject. But somehow I pulled you away from Trios in the heart of strawberry shortcake season. Tell me what a phenomenon that has become
Rex,
here in Arkansas.
it is mind-blowing. I just left to place my weekend order for strawberries. We have already purchased 900 pounds of Arkansas berries in 9 days.
Wow.
So we're roughly going through 100 pounds of berries. And, you know, a berry weighs about as much as a paper
Oh, yeah,
clip.
yeah.
So we've been doing this for, I guess, 30 years or so.
Uh-huh.
But it grows in popularity
Every year,
every
yeah.
single year.
Yeah. Oh, I post it to my social media sites. You know, every
I
year
know.
it's breaking news when you announce your date that you're going to start.
It is, and we will go as long as we can get the local berries. And it's a great crop this year.
That's what I hear. That's what
Great
I hear,
crop.
that it is a very good crop in Arkansas. That's very exciting. I've got to get in soon.
You haven't had one yet?
I have not been yet.
Rex, shame on you. I
I know.
bought one.
I've been on the road so much. As Cappy knows, I used to live right down in the hole below in the Andover condominiums for over 20 years, and it was sure easy to walk up the hill in those days.
Maybe easier to walk down the hill.
Yeah,
after
yeah,
a
or
big
down the
meal.
hill. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then we moved out west about 10 years ago, so that now I have to drive in. But you'll be seeing me. Don't worry.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Don't worry. The main thing we wanted to talk about today is the litter problem. We'll talk specifically about Little Rock, but we've got a litter problem all over Arkansas, don't we? And I travel the state all the time. I've been on the road the last 2 days up in Northeast Arkansas. We've got such a beautiful state, and it just drives me crazy. And I know it does you too.
Drives me crazy too. And unfortunately, yet here we are, the natural state.
Yeah.
And we are our waterways, our trails, our roads. It's embarrassing. And it's not just Arkansas, it's everywhere. The amount of litter, I work a lot with Keep Little Rock Beautiful,
Right.
which is part of Keep America Beautiful.
Exactly. We've had them on this podcast more than once,
And
actually.
they do such good work. But here we are, we're having volunteers pick up stuff that other people throw out of their window, or it's demoralizing to see what people throw away. And it seems in my research that it's kids, young people 18 to 32. They are the biggest litterers. I mean, when I was growing up in the 60s, there was a huge litter campaign. Every car had a litter bag in it.
Oh, absolutely.
We were taught that you did not throw.
First Lady, Lady Bird Johnson
Exactly.
started that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what really brought things to a head for me, I live in a little pond right off Cantrell Road. Every time it rains, all the debris from Highway 10 gets into my
Comes
pond.
right down in your yard.
And
yeah.
I'm in a kayak or canoe or with waders on, bagging up trash. And I did it early this year, and it just made me so mad.
And I was going to mention that if you hadn't brought it up, because I follow you on social media, and all of a sudden it came up. You and I had discussed back and forth the need for kind of a litter czar at Little Rock, and finally you got to the point where you said, I'm just going to do it myself if nobody else does.
Well, and and you had written a letter. We'd gotten a lot of letters from concerned citizens about how trashy the city looks.
Mm-hmm.
And we never had a public discussion about it. So after my cleanup and conversations with you, I brought it up at the city board and I said, are you all not reading these letters? Because I am. We need to discuss this. And so I'm going to do a self-appointment here, and I'm going to be the litter czarina, and I've done it, and I'm on fire, and I'm going to stay on fire until we address it.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you see as, I mean, it comes back to all of us individually, ultimately, but from a city standpoint, what would you like to see from a city government standpoint going forward?
And thanks, that's a great question, and we actually are doing a lot. We need to do a lot more. I made reference to the many annual cleanups, monthly cleanups at Bush Creek and different places where we collect tons and tons of garbage. The city actually has what I think is a great program that's been dormant for a while. I think this is the lowest hanging fruit, so this is where I'm starting, and it's called Adopt a Street program.
Mm-hmm.
And there are over 200 neighborhoods in Little Rock. This program lives in our Public Works Department, along with Waste Management, and specifically on our Sustainability Office and
Mm-hmm.
Commission. I happen to be the board liaison to the Sustainability Commission. So the woman that used to run it's retired. It's old. Some of those signs that you see, a proud family or a business has
They're not even
adopted,
there anymore.
they're
Yeah.
not even there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are taking a very deep dive into that
Great.
to resurrect that program and then work with neighborhood community programs and housing, all those HOAs and POAs that have
Mm-hmm.
monthly meetings to
Mm-hmm.
get individuals or churches or community groups or companies to adopt not just a street, but we also work with RDOT for Adopt a Highway. We have an Adopt a Park program and really try to ignite that program again. And
Mm-hmm.
I chose that because that seems to the easiest place to start. It already exists. It needs to be dusted off. And we're actually working with UALR and Keep Little Rock Beautiful to get an intern to help us to get it rolling. And Lenny Massinelli, who's our sustainability officer, this is a passion of hers as well. And we're already working on it. The next thing I want to do in the public awareness campaign is to come up with a catchy slogan. Like "Don't Mess with Texas" was
Right.
hugely
Oh, it was great.
successful.
Yeah.
And so I'm imploring people to send ideas. Let's come up with, I don't want to do Respect the Rock or to try, I want something creative. And
Mm-hmm.
then, flood the city with PSAs,
Yep.
work with school kids, work with organizations, get the word out. We've got to have a better sense of civic pride and community pride, because visitors that come into the city, whether you live here or you're a tourist, is the first thing you want to see. Trashy.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just it's just sad. There's so many good things happening in the city.
There really
We have
are.
got to clean it up. So we have the Adopt a Street program. Two other programs that are really good that the city is doing now. One is called A Bridge to Work. This is a program that Vice Mayor Webb and I brought to the city about 6 years ago. And it's operated now through Canvas Community. We have 3 vans. They pick up panhandlers, which is also nice
Mm-hmm.
because that addresses panhandling. They give them a day's wage and lunch. The catch is then there's also a social worker that will talk to them about
Right.
connecting them with things. Anyway, they address medians, right-of-ways, ditches, trees. It's a great program. It's not enough, but that's one thing. Another really exciting program is called Fab 44. It is a day labor program that is also funded by the city of Little Rock. They are paid a pretty good set, $12.50 to start with. If they come regularly and work hard, they can make up to $15.50 cash. They get paid the day after they work. They're taught to operate chainsaws, weed eaters, and again, they pick up trash, clean up medians, and so that's a good program.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not enough. If we could just get people to stop throwing stuff out of their cars,
Exactly.
we wouldn't be tasked with
Or
this.
using the back of their pickup trucks as a trash can, and then it blows out. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we all see that every day almost.
Every
stuff blowing out.
every
Yeah.
single day. So those are 2 existing programs, and I'd like to grow those programs. But I think right now the most important thing is the messaging. We have
Mhm.
got to have a campaign, a feel-good campaign that will get people to open their eyes and make a change in their behavior. And again, it's the younger people that are doing this.
Mhm.
So I'm anxious to come up with something to get into the schools to teach kids. I mean, it's not just unsightly; it's bad for the environment, for the
Absolutely.
birds, for the
Absolutely.
waterways. For it's way more than just a visual nightmare. So I'm excited about things on the horizon. Again, we're starting with Adopt a Street because it already existed,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
this is going to be my focus. I'm
Wonderful.
going to wear that czar crown proudly.
Wonderful. I'm glad you have taken it on. Now, we get even broader than litter, we get to this idea of the city just doesn't look as clean, look as good as it should. And I'm asking a general question. I realize this is dangerous of a complex topic. And I know some of it comes back to personnel and so forth, but we look at abandoned buildings, we look at graffiti that's allowed to stay on buildings year after year. Um, are we a bit lax in enforcing our codes in this city, in your
Yes,
opinion?
absolutely, absolutely. Uh,
I mean, there are plenty of codes on the book.
there are lots
Yeah.
of codes on the book. There are actually 3 different departments that address graffiti.
Hmm.
I've had pretty good results getting graffiti, cleaned up. Unfortunately, the next day or 2, it's back.
Wow.
I mean, it's just it's sad.
Yeah.
We have recently hired more code officers, given them a pay raise. It's not a fun job to go around and cite somebody for a code violation, but we're making a small dent in it. But we have to do more. The abandoned buildings, part of the problem with that is the legal nightmare. You have to find the error, and then they may not even live in the state and they don't care. And then it goes to environmental court. And unfortunately, many of those cases can be in environmental court for years. So it's part of it. Part of it is the legal system.
Hmm.
Uh, it could be 2 departments full-time jobs just to address code violations, whether it's tires in their yard or 10-foot tall grass or just unsightly building. But you're right, especially downtown, Southwest Little Rock, out in the John Barra area, it is unsightly, and I don't know how to fix that. I've had conversations with our city attorney, Tom Carpenter, about how can we speed up the legal system part of it. We're very good at citing people, but then we give them 7 days to clean up. Well, then they clean up, and then it goes back and it
Yeah.
looks like hell again.
Yeah.
So it's this vicious cycle, and nothing really ever gets
Gets done.
done
Yeah.
until they go to court, and then it takes forever in environmental court.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I notice things and they just upset me. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I know you could give dozens of examples, but Sunday night I'm on the second floor of the DoubleTree. There's a program, it's nationwide program called Road ROAD Scholar, and it's usually retired people who pay to go somewhere for a week. They might do a week in New Orleans, a week in Savannah and Charleston. Well, they do an Arkansas week several times a year. And they've been selling these out. And they start here in Little Rock, and I'm their opening speaker on a Sunday night. But just a beautiful day Sunday, and so I'm pointing out the window the Arkansas River, talking about the McClellan Curve navigation system, pointing over to Dickey Stevens Park. I'm going to praise our friend, the late Buddy Valines, for doing the Broadway Bridge right, and I point to it. Huge graffiti now on the side of that bridge, and it was just so embarrassing to me. Now, I realize that's RDOT, that's the state there, but still, it's another example in Little Rock when you're
is.
pointing out beautiful things, and then all of a sudden you notice all this graffiti on the top
It is.
side of the bridge.
And RDOT's been a good partner. It's sort of a tricky situation. For instance, the street that I live off, it's a state highway.
Hmm.
And so
Highway
people
10.
might complain about potholes here or this trash there. Well, that's not really the city's purview. So then you have to get RDOT involved. It's just this mess of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite as concerned about the graffiti. Don't get me wrong, I am.
Yeah, yeah.
The litter's what's
It's the
driving
litter.
me
Oh, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. But I'm just saying there are a lot of things that we need to address that I know if I'm noticing that visitors are
Oh,
noticing.
absolutely.
The other example I was going to give you is the last time I was at an event at the Clinton Center, one of our, jewels of the state. I'm coming down the escalator there from the event, and all I can pay attention to is in the circle entrance there is the tire rubber where people
Mhm.
been out there
Mhm.
squealing out in
Mhm.
that circle. And
And
that's the first thing you notice looking out the window.
and it's sad that we
Another
have to do
example, yeah.
that. I mean, go to Park Plaza.
Yeah.
There were burnouts happening there. I mean, you
Yep.
could hear it, all around the surrounding Hall High neighborhood. It was, people were afraid to go to Park Plaza. We've got a
Mhm.
great new owner there. What they
I'm
did,
hearing good things about them.
very,
Yeah.
very good. They presented at Rotary a couple of weeks
Great.
ago, Howard Levine, and they immediately addressed the parking lot by putting these rubber barricades up so you can't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So back to an abandoned building. I don't know if you've driven down Markham right across from Park Plaza and seen that hideous
Oh, that
superstop
old station? Oh, yeah. Oh,
that has
absolutely. Yeah.
become a haven for all kinds of criminal activity. Well,
Mhm.
it's finally going to be torn down in
Thank
May.
goodness.
But that took forever.
Yeah. It took too long.
Forever.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take that long, and
Yeah.
that's a legal matter. I don't know what kind of roadblock I'm going to run in when I try to broach that subject,
Yeah.
but it's something that we have to talk about because the city's littered with abandoned buildings that need to come down. We see, 3 or 4 or 5 a month. That's
Mhm.
all on the city board's agenda to go ahead to give permission to bulldoze those.
Yeah.
We've got to do a better job.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it comes at a time because I like to, and you alluded to it earlier, I like to look at both sides of things. It comes at a time when our economy is doing really well for the most part. I mean, we're becoming this logistics and distribution center for the region with Amazon now employing about 4,000 in the area. Now other distribution facilities coming in. The financial center that we've become. I mean, go to the corner of Rawling and Shannon. Look at the bank buildings
Hmm.
that have gone up. The economy is doing very well. And I think Little Rock kind of sits on the verge, and I try to be a glass half full guy, sits on the verge of a really new golden era. But these things are important that we're talking about. First impressions are
They
important, and addressing them are
First
important
impressions are everything.
if we're going to live up to that
A-
potential of
and
taking off.
if we want to continue, the economic development piece is so important. I work with Jay Chesser a lot. Do you know how many people work at the port now?
Oh, there's thousands out there.
10,000
Unbelievable.
people
From a
work.
majority of Arkansas counties are
Yeah,
driving in there.
35 different
Yeah,
counties.
unbelievable. Yeah.
10,000 people. But if we are trying to attract a new business, or somebody's relocating here, one of the first things they're going to notice the trash.
Hmm.
And they're going to think that, well, these people don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of community pride do they have if the city looks this way?
Yeah.
So I really hope at some point in time, after we clean up Adopt a Street, reaching out to different organizations, because I think this is going to take the whole community. And it's
Exactly.
going to be a huge education and an awareness piece. We've got to get people invested in this. I can't say enough about Keep Little Rock Beautiful. They are tireless volunteers, and it's a feel good situation when we all come together and pick up tons and tons of trash. But it shouldn't be up to a few volunteers who are passionate about this to do it. Each individual has to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And so I think that this public awareness campaign, and I'm serious, if some brilliant person can come up with a neat slogan and we can brand some of our local celebrities like Rex Nelson
You're hard up
to
for
be
celebrities now.
to talk about it and to wear a t-shirt and to preach it in your church and teach it in the schools. We've got to do that. We've got to get everybody to get invested.
We really do, and make the city look better. You mentioned all those jobs at the port. Like I said, the economy doing well. I just read where the new VOR for airline transportation is going to come online in October. That'll allow us to market 1,000-acre super site out there. You look on the other side of Interstate 440, and you've got DeSoto Falcon adding 800 to the 1,400 jobs that are already there. So that's booming. But I know all of us who live here, especially those of you on the city board, it's great they're driving in from over 30 counties, but we would like those people living in Little Rock, paying property
Oh,
taxes
yes,
in
we
Little Rock,
would.
and not feeling the need to sit in those interstate traffic jams coming in from outlying counties
Yeah,
every morning.
yeah. It's sad that we've, and I think one way to make Little Rock more inviting is to clean it up.
Yeah, amen.
Clean it up.
Amen.
And we've are getting ready to go after a sales tax again. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. This would be on the ballot in November. I think the major components will be things that you're addressing right now. Infrastructure work. Some of our roads are in really bad
Mm-hmm.
condition. We have
Mm-hmm.
all these visitors coming in and using our infrastructure, not paying taxes and then leaving. So we're left with that.
Yeah,
But they are working in our city, so we have to
exactly.
address that. I think a big chunk will be public safety. I think we're doing a good job there. We're hopefully by the end of the year we'll only be about 30 officers down. Um, the r-
Great to hear.
the
That's
real
such a huge issue.
the
The
real time crime center has been a huge help.
wrote a column about it.
It's
Very, very nice advancement for the city. Yeah.
and so we've got some a little more public safety work to do for the firefighters and the fire stations. We're building a fire station out by where you live, which is
Mm-hmm.
very much needed. We lost fire station number 9 on Shackleford in the
Right.
tornado. We're
Right.
rebuilding that, and then we are going to continue to support efforts at the port for economic development, and then parks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge park supporter. I love our city parks,
Oh,
but
it's quality of life, and I've written this till I'm blue in the face in columns, but quality of life is economic development in the 21st century. I mean,
absolutely.
it is about attracting young, talented people to live in a city, and you do that with quality of life amenities like parks, like walking trails, like biking trails.
And we're doing a great job there. We are becoming a cycling
Hmm.
destination. We have world-class mountain bike trails in the city limits right there at Two Rivers. It's unbelievable. I mean, people are traveling all over just to travel those, and then they'll drive up to Northwest Arkansas and visit those trails. Our waterways. I mean, look at all the activities. A friend of mine is just building a new spot down on the river to launch kayaks
Oh,
and
great,
canoes.
great.
And I mean, it's just, we are the natural state. We have Pinnacle State Park with all the great trails out there. I mean, just about any place you live in the city, you're
Hmm.
within walking distance to a park. But what we've done, we have these 63 parks, and one of our nicknames is Little Rock, a city in a park.
Right.
Honestly, we probably have too much parkland for a city our size because guess what? We can't maintain them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's a big challenge. And we get a lot of complaints about city parks that need new playground equipment, that they just need a little TLC. And we do a great job of building things, but then we don't back it up
We've got
with
to
the
think about
maintenance
maintenance and
money.
operations, yeah, going forward.
So that is another thing that would be addressed,
Yeah,
and it's a problem. I don't want to close any parks, but that's a problem. And then, did you go out to Fush Creek recently?
I did. I actually we did a show here about it, and I wrote about it. Actually, went out and canoed on Fush Creek, and here I am. I'm typical. I've lived in Little Rock almost the past 35 years now. After moving back from Washington D.C., I had never been on the water at Fush Creek, and in 5 minutes of launching at Interstate Park, the sound was gone from the interstate. I was looking at these cypress trees, hundreds of years old. I mean, I could have been in the middle of the cash bottoms in East Arkansas for all I know. What a gift
It
for a
is
metropolitan
it
area.
is magical. It is one of the
Mm.
largest urban waterways in the country, and unfortunately, most of the trash that people throw out of their cars
That's
go
where it
down
washes
those
down, right?
drains, and it ends up in Fush Creek.
Hmm.
Um, the Friends of Fush Creek, I work a lot with them. They now have put in 2 more, so there's a total of these 4 floating trash booms. I'm sure you
Hmm.
saw those big
Hmm.
yellow things
Yep. Yep.
that catch the trash that people throw out, and then they're cleaned out about once a month. We've gotta protect fish. I mean, there
Absolutely.
are 700 species of flora, fauna,
Oh, it's a
crawfish, insects.
bottomland, wetland that most metropolitan areas would give
Oh, they
anything
would
to have.
kill for
Yeah.
it. So, there's so many hidden jewels like that in the city, but we have got to address the litter problem. I mean, I think that is just number one. If we want to make our city more inviting for people, we have got to clean it up.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
is the number one reason people move here,
Hmm.
quality of life.
Absolutely.
We've got to do this, and it's gonna take way more than a village. It's gonna take each and every person here to be vigilant.
Part of quality of life is eating well, and I'm running out of time. I told you I was going to get into it. Cappy, of course, is one of our inductees. I say our because I've been on the selection committee since we started the Arkansas Food Hall of Fame, but one of our Food Hall of Fame inductees. Gosh, everything I know, the restaurant business is such a tough way to make a living. Talk a minute. I've written about you in the past, but I'm not, again, taking for granted any listener knows about a little bit about your family legacy and how you ended up in the restaurant business.
Well, I grew up in the Sandpeck Hotel, which is no longer there. My grandparents leased it from the Alsop family. It was
Hmm.
then called the Frederica. That was his wife's name.
Right.
And after leasing it for about 3 years, they bought it, and it became the Sandpeck. And it was quite a hotel back in the day. It was Harry Reachner's favorite hotel.
Absolutely. He was here for weeks on end during the 57 desegregation crisis.
And so that kind of put us on the map. And I grew up wreaking havoc in the kitchen and just kind of being like, I'd say, the Eloise, the Plaza
Oh,
Hotel.
yeah.
I
Oh,
was
yeah.
Cappy at the Sandpeck
Yeah. Yeah.
and kind of a hellion, but I had fun. And I always loved to cook. I loved to eat. I mean, the best food in the state back in the day was at the Sandpeck.
Hmm.
First place to serve Caesar salad in the
Wow.
state of Arkansas was
Wow.
at the Sandpeck Hotel because
Yeah.
my grandfather had one in California.
Yeah.
And so when I got out of college, worked at the art center for a while, had a few jobs, but my passion was cooking. Not a trained chef, never went to culinary school.
Hmm.
And so I guess it was 1985. I catered a party for a friend, and she called me up and afterward and said, "Man, your food is so good. You should open a restaurant." And I went, "Yeah, whatever." And I thought about it. I thought about it, and I called her up and I said, "I'm going to do it." And long story short, my grandmother and father, who were both living at the time, tried to talk me out of it. And they said the biggest headache in the hotel business was the restaurant.
Mm.
I'll never make any money. People will
Right.
steal from me. I'll never have a life. It's 24/7. But I did it anyway. And they were both alive when I did it, and
Yeah.
they were proud.
Proud
And
that you
that
did.
was
Yeah.
37 and a half years
Oh,
ago,
wow.
Rex.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Like I
in
said,
my
I
genes.
moved back 35 years ago. Yeah. And became an immediate fan at that point.
It's in my genes. I love to feed people. I'm a big nurturer. Nothing makes me happier than putting a smile on somebody's face after they've had a great meal.
Well, you have one of the great restaurants, not just in Arkansas, but in this part of the country. But again, back to quality of life, back to attracting young, talented people. A great restaurant and bar scene is a part of that now. And we really punch above our weight class as a city, don't we, when it
I
comes to that?
Absolutely, and especially with restaurants, period, food
Yeah.
trucks, coffee shops, bakeries, but especially the independent restaurant
Hmm.
scene. I get that comment more
Oh, I
than
do too,
anything
visitors
from
here. Like, I
visitors.
live in a city twice as big. We don't have nearly as many good places as you
And
do.
so it's really a special place. I mean, I know there are a few little pockets where why don't we have an Ethiopian restaurant, or we need
Hmm.
another Thai restaurant, but all in all, the restaurant scene is going strong and is healthy. I'm excited to see what comes up on down the road with the downtown master plan.
Yes.
We're making an investment to see what the professionals think it could be and can be. Of course, it's going to take a lot of money. But one thing you were talking about the river and looking at the Broadway Bridge, not at the graffiti, but looking at that beautiful amenity, the Arkansas
Hmm.
River, and most of the restaurants, the State House Convention Center, everything turns its back to the
It
river,
does. It
and
does.
which is crazy. We need to face the river and embrace it like San Antonio does and other cities like that. So I'm excited about looking at the downtown master plan. Young people want to live downtown.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
don't want to be out in the burbs where we
I
are.
think residential is the future. A recent column I wrote about downtown, I even put about because we have new owners of the Region Center building and what was the Bank of America building. And I wrote about those great old bank lobbies that are unused now. What out a great restaurant in those bank lobbies, for
Yeah,
instance.
exactly.
What a beautiful venue that would be.
It would. And and I think that's a possibility. We need more visionary people. We we need not to be afraid to invest in downtown. I did want to mention one other city program that's been very successful, and that's the ambassador program downtown.
Yes.
Do you know about that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy. In fact, as I walked in to tape this, just up the block here, their blue and green truck with the lights blinking was parked, and they were doing some work on
They
plants just
they
up the
are
road from where we're taping here.
they have been a game changer, and I believe that we have 11 or 12
Yeah,
now.
downtown looks so much better.
So
You're right.
much better.
Yeah.
And I think the first month on the job, which I believe was last October, Rex, they picked up 2,000 pounds, a ton of trash in a month.
Gabe told me that. Unbelievable. Yeah.
But it's because, people sit out at Blah Blahly or at Raduna or wherever, they'll eat, and then they'll just leave their fast food stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw fast food under the bus, but the vast majority of litter is fast food
It
stuff.
is.
It's
It
cups
is.
and straws
Yep.
and styrofoam. Whoops.
Yep. No.
It's that. Just pick it up. There are trash receptacles everywhere. Take it home. Put it in your recycling bin, which is another thing I'm really excited about.
Mhm.
Glass is back. We can recycle glass.
Right. Right.
Anyway, I mean, there's just so many things going on, good things going on in the city, but we've got to clean it up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cappy, thanks for what you're doing.
Oh,
Thanks
of
for joining
course.
us today.
Anytime.
Cappy Peck with a new title, not only Food Hall of Fame member, but the litter czar for the city of Little Rock. Let's get after it.
And can I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm serious. Anybody listening, please send me an email if you have any ideas or you want to get involved. It's easy. Peck, P-E-C-K, Capi, C-A-P-I, @gmail.com.
There you go. Thanks, Cappy, and
Thanks,
thank you
Rex.
for listening to us. This has been the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.